Imagine this, you finally get to walk into the gym and in an instant, you're commanding attention with biceps that seem to defy the confines of your shirt sleeves. But just to come back to the reality that you have spaghetti for arms. Well, if this is you, don't worry, because by the end of this video, you're going to master these simple dumbbell exercises that are going to help you add inches. And I'm also going to include some small tips that most people aren't doing to help you speed up that muscle growth. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. Now, the biceps consist of two heads located in the upper arm. The short head, closer to the body, and the long head, which is positioned on the outside of the arm. Both heads start at the scapula and merge to attach to the forearm. Often overlooked, though, is the brachialis. It's a muscle crucial for arm thickness, which sits between the biceps and the triceps. Now, one more thing about the anatomy before we go ahead and get into the exercises is that the biceps primarily perform elbow flexion, bringing the lower arm toward the shoulder. The long head, due to its attachment to the scapula, also aids in shoulder flexion, while the short head assists in supination, which is rotating the forearm upward. The brachialis, strongest among the elbow flexors, also focuses on elbow flexion and is particularly activated when the wrist is in a neutral position or a pronated position. Okay, so now that you're familiar with the anatomy and the biomechanics, here are the 3 essential dumbbell exercises for bicep growth. And as we go through these exercises, I want you to keep in mind that even though bicep exercises hit both the long and the short head, some movements do put more emphasis on one particular head than the other. Okay, so let's break down these exercises. Let's first talk about the long head. The best exercise for the long head is going to be the incline dumbbell curl or the dragging cable curl. Really, any position that puts the forearm behind the body is going to work. And because the long head of the bicep crosses the shoulder joint, positioning the forearm behind the body is going to provide an additional stretch to that particular part of the muscle. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine revealed that placing the biceps in a 45-degree angle or greater triggers the highest activation in the long head throughout the range of motion. Most lifters commonly use an incline bench. You can set the bench to about a 45-degree angle and allow your arms to hang down at your sides. But to make this more effective, the shoulder must stay still. The movement should begin with your elbow fully extended, moving only the forearm. Now, once your forearm reaches about 90 degrees, the shoulder can move slightly just to help complete the workout. Now, if you don't want to use a bench, you can also use a cable machine. By grabbing the cable and taking a few steps away from the machine, it's going to create that 45-degree angle for your biceps. Similar to the incline bench, the movement must start at the elbow while keeping the shoulder still. Now, another workout most people don't realize target the long head of the bicep is the neutral grip pull-up. Completing a set of these pull-ups are not only great for your back, but also your biceps. And you can even add different variations, such as pausing at the top or performing slow negatives to the bottom of the movement. Remember, the bicep has 2 heads, but if you want complete overarm thickness, you're going to have to include the BicepBrachialis, which we mentioned earlier. So we're going to talk about that coming up. I'm also going to throw in a bicep finisher that you definitely don't see every day at the end of this video. And once you add this finisher, you're definitely going to notice some serious changes in your physique. Let's move on to the short head. The best exercises to target this head is the concentration curl, the spider curl, or the preacher curl. The concentration curl perhaps is the easiest and probably most common of the 3. You would find yourself a bench or a chair, find a dumbbell that's comfortable, and perform the curl while resting your elbow on your inner thigh. The spider curl is a reverse of the incline dumbbell curl. So remember, with the incline dumbbell curl, your arm is 45 degrees from behind the body. The spider curl positions your arm 45 degrees in front of the body. Take a look at this clip, which shows how the arms are positioned in front of the body. Another great thing I like about this exercise is that it's difficult to cheat. It forces you to keep tension on that target muscle. My only issue with the spider curl is that your face is awfully close to the bench. So place a towel if you're more of a germaphobe, which you can clearly see I did not take my own advice on this one. The preacher curl is similar to the spider curl, except your arms are utilizing a pad for support. This exercise is another great way to get activation at the top of that bicep curl, but I should caution you, unless you want a bicep tear, I would only use a moderate amount of weight for this exercise. Now, even though ideally we want an exercise that's hardest near the bottom to fully take advantage of that stretch-mediated hypertrophy, mixing up the exercises is definitely going to ensure you're hitting your muscles at different angles. So here's another tip, especially if you're already familiar with these workouts. Any dumbbell exercise that has supination, I want you to go ahead and hold the dumbbell right at the edge with your thumb and your index finger touching the bottom of the dumbbell. This is going to force your hand into a large degree of pronation, meaning you'll have to actively supinate, which will lead to higher activation of the short head of the biceps. I mentioned earlier we would talk about the BicepBrachialis. The 2 most important workouts for this are the hammer curls and the reverse or supinator curls. For hammer curls, aim to lower the weight under control for about 3 to 4 seconds, then lift with normal concentric tempo. The hammer curl is perfect for targeting the brachialis, which is more active when the forearm is in a degree of pronation or a neutral position. There's also some evidence to suggest that using slow eccentrics helps with the activation of the brachialis to a greater degree, making this the perfect exercise to target the overlooked muscle. Okay, so which exercises should you be focusing on now that you have all this information? I gave a hint to this earlier in the video. Since you have all the tools, you can diversify your workout routine for overall development. But knowing what you know now, you have the tools to target specific bicep heads so you can focus on bringing up lagging body parts if you need to. But if you're looking to put a plan together, let's begin by determining the optimal number of sets for maximizing muscle growth. A 2022 study compared 3 groups: a low volume group performing less than 12 weekly sets, a moderate volume group performing 12 to 20 weekly sets, and a high volume group performing more than 20 weekly sets. The study concluded that a moderate range of 12 to 20 weekly sets per muscle group may be an optimum standard recommendation for increasing muscle hypertrophy. But remember, the biceps are also indirectly trained by pulling exercises such as the pull-up. I would count a portion of those pulling workouts toward your bicep volume. So if you did 10 sets of pulling exercises, then 5 sets should count toward your bicep volume for the week. Now, if you want a really good finisher to your bicep workout, I would do waiter curls. The best way to understand waiter curls is it makes use of a grip manipulation similar to that of a waiter. It twists your wrists and takes most of the tension away from your forearms and places it directly onto your biceps. Most guys say they want bigger arms and start doing tons of biceps, not realizing that's really the triceps that are the key to making your arms look bigger. So check out this video on how to grow your triceps.